Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. Sean Kelly's back on the microphone. Real racing, none of this nonsense in Europe and in the Middle East and Australia and Mallorca. Paris-Nice is here. The first major one-week World Tour race of the year with a pretty solid lineup. We already did the preview on our last weekly show. The main competitors have not changed. Why don't you run us through today's parcours, Benji, and the sort of scenarios you saw playing out?
Yes, sir. Basically, 156 kilometers from Le Perret en Yvelines. Yeah, the flair of that French. Can you hear it? I love it when Paris comes by. Anyway, on the parcours itself, let's be honest about it. If you look at the parcours, you shout sprint stage. There's a few things to it, though, because in the last 30-ish kilometers, you would see a climb with about 25k to go called the Côte de Villiers Saint-Frédéric, 1.2 kilometers, 6.8%. So not the craziest climb, but let's be honest, 2 years ago we saw, or was it 3 years ago, we saw Visma ride away with 3 of their riders on a small climb in Paris as well. So this race can do wonders. I wasn't necessarily expecting that to happen today, but it could lead to a pure sprinter dropping or having trouble on that climb. So the Temeliers of the world, is he going to survive that? On paper, you'd say yes, but you never know. But that's not the last obstacle. With about 10, 12, 13 kilometers to go, there's a bonus sprint in Les Minules, which is after a bit of an uphill segment. So we could see some GC riders fighting for 6, 4, and 2 bonus seconds there. But after that, it's basically flat until the finish line, right?
It is, and I was just looking to see, so a week ago it was predicted heavy crosswinds. This was supposed to be a crosswind stage. Tomorrow they design it specifically for crosswinds, but there's no crosswinds. There's no wind, and so the Tim Merlier was very fortunate today in that you have no rain, you got cool but moderate conditions. I'm looking at the riders front on here. Let me just do a dress code check. We got riders in mostly shorts and a jersey, not even anything else. So no gloves, long, etc.
Yeah,
so
is there an effect of riders coming from a certain region leading to their dress? Because I vividly remember us going to Flanders last year and you showing up in like winter gear and I was there in shorts. Like there's a difference of history here, you know?
Yeah,
some
true.
people can handle it.
Depends where you've been, where you've been racing. Yeah, exactly. If you've been training in Belgium or winter or Denmark or wherever, it doesn't feel that cold. But it was like the most mild conditions possible for the sprinters. And indeed, with no crosswinds, it just makes the stage in general quite easy. The roads would quite easily blocked up by the teams that took position on the front. So in the wheels behind, for someone like Merlier, it's happy days. For Trek, yeah, they're hoping for a reduced bunch sprint. Really thinned out. The last 2 years, 2 things that happened on this. So ASO keep designing the stage. Really good finish. Quite exciting in previous years. So 2023, Pogacar attacks, I think, on the bonus sprint on the hill near the finish, but it was at 6Ks to go, not 10. And Vingegaard refuses to relay because I think Coy was behind. And then there was a sprint. Last year, same thing. Remco attacked, was with Jorgensen. Mean old Visma Lisa bike, refused to relay, so Coy could come back. He did win the stage. But that's what's happened last. But this year, I was thinking, well, UAE UAE got Milano, but with all due respect, if one of their GC guys is in a group, he's riding ahead. Jorgensen, he's not waiting for Axel Zangler. There's no Coy here. And on and on. Ben O'Connor, Vingegaard, name them. Santi. He's not waiting for Matej Govacar if he's here. I saw that scenario really plausible, Benji.
I think I'm not necessarily on the page of really plausible because I've lost confidence in sprinting teams over the last 3 years. I feel like every single year we come to this podcast and we see races where we see sprinting teams that have maybe a 2%, 1% chance of winning the race, going all out for their sprinter and neglecting any other potential strategy during that race. And therefore, I'm starting to default to the fact that I expect at least 2 teams to fumble the bag and do that, and therefore help a team like Soudal Quickstep control the race. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. And I think for Arkea, I actually have no problem with it. Vauquelin's not here. Damar, you have to go for a sprint with Demar. And also, like, Demar actually isn't bad in these sort of, like, shitty road furniture, bendy French sprints. Like, he came second or whatever in Tour de France one last year before getting relegated. So, did you do the breakaway, Benji?
I have not done the breakaway yet, so let us jump into that. A break of 3 riders, Taco van der Hoorn. Gotta say, happy he's back in the peloton because he had this long recovery from, if I recall, a long-term concussion injury. And concussions can be heavily underrated within the peloton of cycling. So it's good to see that he's back. He's not necessarily performing at the highest level yet, but who knows? I guess we'll find out if that recurs in the early parts of the season or not. Next to him, also in the breakaway, Alexandre de Lettre from Total Energie. I see that guy's a top 10 merchant in French 1.1 races. Maybe that's underrating him. Maybe that's overrating him. I don't know. That's how I view this man because he scores a relatively solid amount of UCI points last year. And Samuel Fernandez, 21-year-old on Caja Rural, gotta say, hasn't shown much yet, but was top 20 in GC in Gran Camino, whatever that's worth right now. So I want to see more from that guy in the future if he has talent or not, or whether he's on Caja Rural just because he's on Caja Rural. Anyway, that's our breakaway. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong break, but it's too small, too many teams controlling, and they were controlling too fast. Like, they were basically, the break was caught so fast that then the teams just went across the road. And at 48 Ks to go, Sheffield crashed with Tarling and Sam Watson. I'm not sure if Tarling and Sam Watson actually crashed. Sheffield definitely crashed. There's some unsignaled road furniture coming in from the left. It was a slight uphill section, thankfully.
I want to talk about this for a second. Yes, it was not signaled well, but was I the only one that looked at the footage? I looked it back twice and thought, okay, the F rider on the left front of the peloton rides past that, doesn't signal to anyone behind him that there's an obstacle coming up, just moves to the right a bit. It's the Bora rider behind him that points it out. To me, that the F rider also makes a mistake in not showing it. I'm not sure that directly impacted the Ineos riders crashing a bunch of riders later, but to me, there's also that expected respect in the peloton that riders at the front point out obstacles that are literally in front of them, you know?
Yeah, and it can be one thing true that the road furniture and some of the signaling is bad, which leads to crashes.
Yeah.
It can also be true that UAE Tour crash didn't need to happen in the breakaway formation to Jabal Feet. It can also be true that the leading riders all signal it to the other riders. Now, that shouldn't be the default, but yeah, we often see sometimes riders, Benji, just be like, not my problem. I see it, boom, and then another guy goes into a pothole.
Yeah.
That's Ciclismo, I guess. But yeah, and they didn't barrage them. Tarling brought him back. Tarling looking good. So they're clearly going for Sheffield in GC. I guess.
Yeah, I would guess that as well, based on what I saw. And like from that point onwards, from this crash onwards until maybe 25 kilometers to go, we kind of saw what we expected, breakaway getting caught, peloton lining up with 7 teams next to each other, whether it's EF on one side of the road, Visma on the other side of the road, UAE, all the sprinters teams, Soudal Quickstep, etc., all lining up, because this is not the zone where I expect stuff to happen. And the zone where stuff can happen is that climb I spoke about earlier, which is that Côte de Villiers Saint-Frédéric climb. Again, not the craziest climb, but the positioning towards the climb matters. There's this little village in the run-in towards the climb, so if you can line it out on the village itself, then maybe that can lead to more selectiveness on the climb itself. We saw Visma trying to move forward, position himself. We saw EF trying to do the same, Tudor as well trying to do the same, and it was actually Tudor Pro Cycling that hit the climb from the foot. We had Marco Haller at the front with your boy Julien Alaphilippe with the panache in the legs, trying to launch it and actually launching it on this climb. And I'm sorry, but I love seeing the attack. But then my brain starts working and thinking, what's the actual plan here?
That's what... I started to panic. I was like, because Jorgensen was following him, and I was like, fuck, are there bonus seconds on top of this that I didn't read properly in the parkour? Because where's he going? Seriously, I was like, what's going on? Because there's a split, everyone's chasing, Vingegaard's letting the gap go, there's it's strung out, there's 5 guys. I'm like, what's going on here? It was like it was the last climb, and actually this stage might have been better, Benji, if this was the last climb. 8, 9Ks to go. It would have made it a more cat and mouse to the finish. I mean, there was still cat and mouse, which we'll get into, but yeah, in the end, it was just a King of the Mountain sprint, I think. And so, but Alaphilippe said he came here to put on a show.
He did put up a show, but we get over the top. First of all, it's not even Alaphilippe getting the KOM points. It's Jorgensen that rides past them just before the top. So it wasn't even for the KOM points. It was just to try and see whether he could split it, I guess, when it comes to Alaphilippe. Maybe Tudor believes that Dainese is more versatile than Merlier and therefore wants to try and put pressure on pure sprinters, but I feel like I'm getting far-fetched theories in my head at this point already. Anyway, we're getting over the top of the climb. There's a few riders that try to make moves left and right, but at the end of the day, it's still a large peloton, and we see the likes of Lidl-Trek on one side and Soudal Quickstep on the other side, basically trying to control any moves that happen. And we kind of enter this zone again that we were in before the climb started, which is teams lining up and waiting for the next obstacle. And we said it, that next obstacle is the bonus sprint, the actual bonus sprint this time around. So what were you expecting when it comes to the bonus sprint beforehand? Because if you look at the riders on the list, did you have teams where you were like thinking, okay, this GC rider might not be fast, so they might send some other rider up there to try and take bonus seconds away?
Yeah, I definitely thought Narvaez would sprint. And also McNulty's good on a punchy hill like this, and they got to protect Almeida, this is not his dream situation. I don't know why they keep sending him here. I feel sorry for him. Legit, like, I'm watching, like, there's this road furniture, the bricks in the middle dividing the road, left hand, right hand turn, and then like cobbled entry, turn left, up a steep climb, bonus sprint. He's like, come on, can I go to Adriatico or Catalunya or something? But no, Narvaez is good for him, classics rider, and he's fast. So they put him up there. What I didn't expect was, well, the sort of Visma never got good position again after the first main climb, and so there was no lead out from them, and so it was Bahrain. I don't know who the young guy was who did the lead out for Bahrain, but he and Wright did a very good job into this climb. Ineos then strung it out as well. They entered in great position as usual, but then they stop at the bottom because they don't have the punchiest guy, and it's Santi who jumps. Santi jumps. Yes. Paulus begins chasing. He was good in Laguelia earlier in the week. Jorgensen's on his wheel, as well as McNulty there or thereabouts, and Sheffield. Is that 4 Americans?
Yes.
4 Americans were chasing Santi. Talk about the cross-border trade wars at the moment. It's in the American continent. Got 4 Americans, the eagle flying, chasing
Eagle
Santi.
Is flying, but who's going to actually take it? Because Santi is doing the damage, in quotes, because the damage wasn't really happening between those 5 riders up the road. There was a bit of a gap behind them, but it was also not an unovercomable gap. And we saw Buitrago kind of stopping his effort because he's like, I can't do this sprint for 600 meters towards the actual bonus sprint because that would be stupid because everybody else will jump out of my wheel and take the bonus seconds away. But then nobody really wanted to launch that early either, so they were kind of waiting in his wheel as well. And then Alaphilippe basically brings the group back behind, which then puts Narvaez in a position where he can sprint again, who was not in that 5-rider, what do you call a duo of 5 riders?
A pentet?
A quintet?
Quintet.
We had a quintet of riders up the road that were called by... I sound so stupid when I say that. Anyway.
But yeah, they were cagey. McNulty didn't want to go. He sort of went. Jorgensen covered him. Because Jorgensen was trusting his sprint. He didn't need to go long. The problem for him was Narvaez comes back into the picture. Narvaez gets onto Jorgensen's wheel, and Jorgensen opens up. Narvaez rolls him just over the top. They get a gap. Narvaez continues actually, which UAE riders always continue after these sprints. Jorgensen takes second, 4 bonies. Sheffield third, 2 seconds, and they don't really start riding. It's closed down, and then we have this attack phase, and this always happens. And this is what I said at the start of the show. It happened the previous 2 years. You basically have all the sprinters are fucked. They're trying to come back. A lot of their helpers are on the limit. And then you have like the classics guys start to move. Stefan Kung jumps. Paulus jumps. Even Alpecin, I think Tibor Del Grosso might have been jumping. The youngster there. I think so. You guys who correctly, because Merlier will come back. It's not that hard to climb. It's not been a hard day. The group's coming back together, but you can get ahead in this time. Now. And yeah, there were teams trying to do that. but Trek were locking it all down. In fact, Vingegaard first was locking it all down.
I didn't actually see the part where Vingegaard locks it down. By the way, while we're on Vingegaard, can we talk about the fact that we can't miss him anymore? Like, that man has the... If you ever played Mario in your life, there's these characters called Toads, which have like mushroom-style hats. That is Vingegaard right now. That is one of the most shocking helmets I've ever seen. And it's not pretty, in my opinion.
The helmet's out of control, dude.
That is the silliest helmet I've seen in a very long time. And I've seen lots of silly helmets in the last year. But
I have to say, it's useful. I do most annoying. Can Van der Poel get a helmet sponsor?
Ooh.
Because he's not in the Natty Champs jersey or the World Champs jersey anymore.
Yeah.
So, or the European Champs. So it's harder to spot him. Merlier, European Champs. Van Aert, Red Bull helmet. Like, I actually like the big stars. And Pogacar, World Champs jersey. I like them having discernible jerseys.
I agree, but I also think that if everybody starts getting helmets that are separate than the other colors, then it's going to get really messy really quickly. And I don't know. I'm not sure I want to see that chaos either, but I find it ugly, the Vingegaard helmet, but it's very useful. There's two sides to the story, and obviously financially it's probably a good thing for the team that a brand wants to pay to have a separate helmet sponsor for Vingegaard. So that's a positive part.
It's like a Danish sponsor for Vingegaard. It's big money.
I can tell. It's a giant Danish flag on his head.
Who's Danish Natty Champ? Pedersen?
Yeah, the Zoidberg
Rasmus Pedersen.
guy. Yeah. Anyway,
Trek eventually starts to take control. Vingegaard jumps a few times, Jorgensen, a few GC guys moving. It doesn't look serious. The group's too big. It looks like it stopped. Dan Holer was playing policeman, Luke's cousin. And I was like, okay, Trek got this locked down. For better or worse, they want to sprint, even though Tim Merlier is for sure lurking somewhere. And in fact, all the sprinters were there, even Dainese, who can't get over a speed bump. And suddenly Josh Tarling jumps. He jumps, he's followed by Trentin, who's going for Dainese. And Skelmoser sneaks up the right, just gets to the wheel of Trentin, and they're gone. It gets blocked on the front because it's all those teams, Ineos, Tudor, Trek there, and then Trek with the team locking it down, and now they've got a man ahead, so they stop chasing. Tarling's got the biggest 1 hour power in the world tour.
Yeah.
And suddenly the gap's 6 seconds. It's blocked on the front. Visma got nobody controlling. And I was like, this group should all cooperate. Tarling, because Ineos are actually having a crack these days, and because he can take yellow after the TTT maybe, and why not just go for it? Trentin, because he's the quickest sprinter in the group. He won a sprint last year in Wallonie.
Yeah.
Skelmoser for bonus seconds at the finish, and GC time. Like 10, 15 seconds in Paris-Nice is a lot.
Fully agree. And you could argue that the least incentivized rider of these three to ride is Starling, who has GC riders that can be hindered by Skelmoser taking time in GC today. If this goes to the line, I still see the value of fighting for the stage winner with Tarling, even though he does not really have a sprint, to be worth the gamble. That's my personal opinion. I enjoyed that Tarling kept riding. Trentin as well, 100% should keep riding, does exactly that. But I was shocked when Skelmoser...
Trentin also skipped a bit. He was not all out committed straight away.
Okay, but who skipped more? That was a shocking part. Skelmoser.
And I'm not sure it's Skelmoser's fault. So he gets in this group, and he's on the radio once he sees there's a gap. Straight away, he's on the radio, and he must be saying, "Can I ride?" I would assume he's here for his own GC. And like, it makes no sense to not let him ride. Firstly, make Quickstep use Burt to chase, or make, I don't know, even if they get caught, it saves your own lead out for a bit. They can position off the other lead outs. Secondly, I think they did have a good chance maybe to make it to the finish if they all committed. Unlikely, but possible. And if they do make it to the finish, Skelmoser's worst case for me is second, because Tarling would pull all out and Skelmoser's got a decent sprint on him. That's 6 bonies plus maybe 3/4. It could be at 10 seconds. Maybe you even win the stage. Doubt it. Trentin also should have pulled all out straight away. Like Dainese, I'm sorry, he wins once in a blue moon. He's not beating Tim Merlier here. And same with Pedersen, frankly. I couldn't believe it. And actually, yeah, I almost thought like Tarling should stop. Like, why should Tarling pull? Like, he's the one that should stop. Like, anyway, Jayco came to the front with Durbridge and big units with Affini, and that pretty much shut the 8 seconds quick smart.
Yeah.
But it's like you said at the top, Benji, these teams have such an inflexible plan for like a what percent chance to win, you know?
Sorry. With Mats Pedersen this year, he was awful at his sprints so far in February. What confidence should I have in Pedersen in a sprint like this with Tim Merlier being present? Yes, there's a chance that Tim Merlier has a shit position. He has that regularly. But at the end of the day, even if, let's say, it's kind of the 2-horse race, eh? We speak about this so many times. If you've got a sprinter with a limited chance of victory, which Pedersen is in this stage, 100%, especially with his sprint speed this year, then you got to try and gamble on both horses. You've got Skelmos at the front, Pedersen at the back. Even Skelmos riding at the front, like you said, benefits your team in the peloton. Because even if the break doesn't win, you still impact all the effort that the other teams have to make to close Skelmos down in the process. In doing so, making it perhaps easier for Pedersen to position himself later on in the sprint. So it's like, there's only positives for me in the situation. And also, hot take, maybe, I think Skelmos' chances of winning in that first 3 riders is bigger than Pedersen in the peloton.
Way bigger. He just has to have... Okay, let's say Thailand leaves him out, he's out of it. Like, Trenton's not that quick. He's quick. But Skelmos is pretty quick. I mean, yeah, probably doesn't win, but you shouldn't... It's just a numbers game, Benji. This is like really, really groundbreaking stuff. When you sprint and it's just you and one other rider, inherently, it's easier to win the sprint than against 100 people. This is some really... It's advanced probability. They don't teach it at the DS course at Egler in the UCI Center. But, yeah, I mean... Anyway, all the other GC teams would be like, thank you, Skelmos, because they were probably sweating at a certain point. Although he's got no climbing support here, not even a manual, just Julian Bernard.
Well, as long as he's TTT support.
Great, yeah, exactly. And listen, let's not underrate Trek's TTT. They monstered the Valencia one with a full lead-out train, so maybe they're just here to win the TTT. And that puts him in a position to win. Comes down to a sprint, Jayco looks strong, and that also tips their hand. They think Ben O'Connor's good, very clearly. In good shape here, he just came from altitude. Lead-out begins. There's a left-hand corner. Alperson get in really, really good position for Timo Kielich. And we can't really see where Tim Merlier is. And this big left-hander comes... let me have a look. I'll run it through. After the Flamme Rouge, yeah, you see Quickstep lost steam, and Burt kind of followed Alperson middle, and then Intermarché brought Kielich and Alperson fast to this left-hander, and Trek were on the wrong side of it. Alex Kirsch was there, and Pedersen was already gone. Pedersen was inside of that corner, and basically he gets squeezed into oblivion through that corner, and that's what you were saying, Benji. We saw a bit of that in Provence. So, I mean, Zangler shot up to P4 through that corner, P5, and he was a few wheels ahead of Pedersen, like literally sprinted ahead of him. And then out of that corner, I'm counting, Pedersen is P20, 25, with no lead out in front of him. It's over then. And then we come through, Burt shoots up to the left-hand side, drags Merlier and Bahrain or Bahrain rider through. So many bends in this finish. He comes off, leaves Merlier there, Kielich on the wheel of the Bahrain rider, and then Merlier just, keeps his wheel free to the left, opens up, and the space through Kielich to the barriers, and that's all she wrote. Wins by over a bike length, never in doubt. Demar second, he'll probably be happy with that. Dainese third, Milano fourth, Zangler fifth, Fedorov sixth, Van Dijk seventh, Kielich eighth, Albanese ninth, and Valscheid 10th. But Matteo Trentin, third was the worst he could have gotten.
Yeah. I want to talk about this for a second. Merlier wins, obviously, one of the 2 best sprinters in the world. He's the only top sprinter, in my opinion, on the start line here. So once going to the sprint, it's expected of him to perhaps win that sprint if he's in a good position. Talking about positioning, Bert van Lerbergen has been such a project, you know? Like, if I think back to I swear he was on Sport Vlaanderen Balwaze, maybe in the past, before he went to the actual Quickstep team. And in my opinion, when watching the progress of Van Lerbergen, there's been years where I didn't feel like he was the optimal lead out, where there were mistakes left and right, where there were issues, where there was chemistry issues perhaps with a sprinter at the team. But it's really in the process of that project being continuously invested in by Quickstep, the fact that they never really lost confidence in him. They continuously worked on Van Lerbergen to be the prime lead out for the likes of Melier year on year. He got better, he got better, he got better. But is it me, or is he still a slightly unordinary lead out in the way he lead outs compared to other riders? As in, I sometimes feel like, for example, in this sprint, you don't often see the strategy of Van Lerbergen being the pilot and keeping Melier in like a top 5 position for Melier then to launch from that point onwards himself. Is it me, or is it different compared to other sprinters and lead outs?
Well, yeah, they're having to work as a small unit, because no disrespect to the other teammates, but they've not put a proper lead out around Melier. I'm talking 4 good guys for the last 2 years. It's really Bert and Piper Ice Rink and those sort of guys. So Pippin,
okay, from Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
What's his name?
Pepijn Reindering.
Exactly, yeah, you man. So
he's Luke's man.
Is he? He's not Dutch, is he?
He's Dutch.
That's why I can't do the lead out. You got to get more of these ChatGPT Belgian guys.
Exactly. Nah.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, and he's having to work just him and Melier as a small unit. In UAE, that's hit and miss and hard. In all these bends, technical finishes, they get it right. And yeah, you're right. He can't do the classic lead out like Trek do for Milan. They don't have the horses to do it, and they work in other ways. And today, yeah, he stretched. He brought Melier to P5. Melier let his wheel go. He stretched it, and then Melier got to launch when he wanted, and he got maybe a little bit lucky that if he waited another second or two from the left, he might have got washed and boxed, but he didn't. There was no other lead out. So, yeah, expected win for him. And strange top 10, I got to say. like Fedorov 6th, Kielich 8th. But for Pedersen to come 12th, that'll be disappointing. In terms of GC, Melier goes into the GC lead. Narvaez has 6 bonies. Jorgensen has 4 bonies. Sheffield 2 bonies of the GC relevant men. Tomorrow's stage, if there's any other learnings from today, Benji.
I don't think I've got more learnings than what we had. I've still got the same feeling about Mes Pedersen sprints. Like, it's not even just positioning. I feel like the speed just isn't there this year. So I need confirmation that he still has a sprint to even think about Grand Tour Ciclamino jerseys and so forth right now, because that sprint speed I just don't see right now. But there's still plenty of time for that, and the classics are coming, so he doesn't necessarily need a sprint for the Roubaix. Perhaps, depends what happens on the velodrome. That being said, I'm just wondering whether you said echelons ain't happening. Any chance for echelons tomorrow either, or just no?
I don't think so, actually. Bit of shame.
So
tomorrow's finish is also in a place called Bellegarde, but I don't think it's the Bessèges Bellegarde. The wind tomorrow is a 10km/h headwind, mostly, with some 9km/h crosswind. So there will not be echelons. There will be a lot of nervousness going through small towns, roundabouts, road furniture. So much road furniture today. It's a flat sprint finish, pretty much. So yeah,
it's fine. Melier's favorite.
Melier's favorite should win, but I have a feeling he might not actually.
Ooh, who's your pick then? Demar looked okay today, actually.
Yeah,
but he ain't winning a stage. I don't believe that.
Milano.
I'm saying Melier.
Milano. Yeah, I'm going with Milano tomorrow. I can feel it.
I'll accept it.
But that's all to say. There's some bonus sprints, but they are reasonably close to finish. Maybe the break's caught. Maybe the GC riders just hope the break is still up there to take them out of it. with 24, 21Ks to go. But really, I'm waiting for the TT. I wish tomorrow was an uphill finish. Not. I mean, like a sprint. I mean, like a punchy uphill sprint.
Like Garcia Cortina winning against Colbrelli vibes.
Yeah, type of one. And I just want the TTT. I'm looking forward to it. I want it to come. I can't wait to watch
anyway,
it. Anyway,
my focus will mainly be on the Tirreno TT tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, yeah, we should preview that. So we do have the confirmed start list. Obviously, we did a preview earlier. But yeah, we have the classic Lido Camaiore 12 kilometers now. I think they lengthened it by a K1/2. So it's
every year.
Yeah, they just keep extending it.
30 kilometer time trial, just back and forth.
Yeah,
by the coast. Ayuso won that last year, no?
He did. He beat Ghana. Ghana's back here, so Ghana still starts the favorite despite Ayuso winning, and also returning other TT. Who are the other TT legends here?
Ooh, let us take a look at the start lists.
Tiberi, Vauquelin, Derek G, who just won the TT in Camino, Soren Varensholt, who just won Omloop, Michael Zeilard.
Mathieu van der Poel top 10? Or will he sit up?
Will he try? That's always the question. Will Van der Poel try? Jonathan Milan, I mean, yeah, Milan himself. Hopefully he gets a better weather spot than in UAE. Ghana he should win. Ayuso should take time on the other GC guys. How much remains to be seen. But he starts as the favorite for GC.
But I do want to say for a second, I do want to give credits to Ineos for doing exactly what we've been shouting for the last year, which is actually sending their TT riders to World Tour races with TTs in it, right? Because I swear last year we had that comment multiple times throughout the year. Now we had Tarling at UAE Tour. Am I inventing that in my head? That happened, right? Yes, that happened.
Yeah.
Then now again at Tirreno, on paper, he's a favorite for that time trial. He should be taking that. That's the easiest way for Ineos to take victories throughout the year, in my opinion. Just continuously sending their top TTers to the TTs in World Tour, no?
Yeah, Swiss, UAE, Renewy, Paris, Tirreno even. There's so many flat TTs, and they'll always be the favorite if they start them. So, but they have, and they have a good chance to win the TTT too on Tuesday, which we'll preview tomorrow. Any other miscellaneous news, Benji?
Honestly, I don't know, but there's 3 kilometers to go in the Grote Prijs Jean-Pierre Mons race, so I think we need to wrap it up, sir.
Okay, we'll let Benji watch that. I hope you enjoyed the podcast as always, and we'll see you with the double recap after Tirreno tomorrow. Until then, ciao.